I'm Gerhard Elfers. Welcome to the program. At least 12 people have died in Ukraine after Russia launched its largest aerial attack on the country of the war so far. Officials say more than 350 drones and missiles targeted Ukrainian towns and cities in what emergency responders have called a night of terror. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy now says strong pressure must be put on Russia to stop its daily bombardments.
For the second night in a row, Kyiv's skyline is punctuated with explosions from Russian missiles and drones. Searchlights scan the airspace for incoming projectiles as the sounds of the assault reverberate across the city. Daylight reveals the scale of the damage, with at least a dozen dead across Ukraine and neighborhoods razed to the ground. This was Tetiana's home until Saturday night. Now all that's left are a few bags of belongings. We woke up from the sound of the explosion. I immediately grabbed my child, who is 20 months old. I covered them in a blanket to protect them. Then there was another explosion and a huge flash. Carrying my child, I walked barefoot over the shattered glass downstairs, and we managed to leave through the back door. Similar scenes unfolded across Ukraine. The attacks hitting almost every region in the country. Ukraine's Air Force say they were targeted with almost 70 missiles and over 300 drones, and that it was the largest single aerial attack of the war. This was the aftermath in the southern city of Mykolaiv, almost 500 kilometers away from Kyiv. It was very difficult, these fires, these strikes, the doors were jammed, everything was burning. The neighbor's flat was on fire. I tried to put it out and the guys came and took me away. President Zelenskyy once again called for strong pressure to be put on the Russian leadership, saying without it, the brutality cannot be stopped.
We're now joined by our correspondent Zander in Kiev. Max, officials say last night's attacks were the biggest in terms of a number of assaults since the start of the war. Was Ukraine prepared for the sheer scale of these attacks?
Well, yes, this was another large-scale attack just within days. And of course, the Ukrainians are prepared for this. This is not a surprise. They have multi-layered air defense in place and have had this for many years now. But as you say, the scale of attack is great. This is the largest attack ever since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. From where I'm standing right now, I was able to witness last night the beginning of what happened there, with tracer rounds illuminating the night, mobile air defense units going to work. You could see debris of drones likely coming down, burning, and every now and again explosions likely from cruise missiles being intercepted. But all of this is just too much, and it overwhelms the Ukrainian air defense. And according to the Air Force, 367 drones and rockets were used to attack multiple cities across the country last night. 45 cruise missiles were intercepted, 266 drones were shot down. That's a lot, but still, that means that more than a dozen cruise missiles were able to slip through the cracks of the air defense and hit targets. More than 24 drones were able to hit targets, which led to at least 12 people being killed. And another night, which was extremely long and extremely horrible for residents here in Kyiv, but also across many other places here in Ukraine.
Now, the prisoner of war swap between Russia and Ukraine seems to be completed now. What more can you tell us?
Right, so this is the end of the 1,000 for 1,000 Ukrainian prisoners of war versus 1,000 Russian prisoners of war that were exchanged over the last 3 days. From what we're hearing, the last 303 people were exchanged, or 303 people on each side were exchanged earlier today, mainly POWs, but also civilians from both sides. The pictures we saw here from Ukraine really over the last couple of days were really heartwarming. Many family members didn't know until the last minute that their relatives were on the list, didn't know about their condition, about their whereabouts. So for them, certainly everything is changing, especially also for POWs that were in Russian captivity, facing very tough conditions, including abuse. And and torture for them. Their whole world is going to change now, and they have to face another challenge of life after being exchanged. And this might also create hope for other people who are waiting for their loved ones who have been in captivity, some of them for more than 3 years. This also, in the grand scheme of things, is being hailed as a step towards peace. This was the only concrete step that came out of the negotiations between Russia and Ukraine in Turkey earlier this month. But it's questionable if this is indeed going to be a step towards peace, given everything else, including the large-scale attack that has happened last night. With all of this going on, the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, announced on Friday that once this exchange is concluded, that Russia would present a long-term peace agreement, though from what's happening at the moment, it's unlikely that we're going to see any major concessions from the Russian side there.
DW correspondent Max Zander there, reporting from Kyiv. Thank you, Max.